You did the hardest part already. Step 4. Now comes the step that actually starts to set you free. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Starve the Demon, Recovery by Any Means Necessary. I'm your host, Jenna, and today we're talking about Step 5 and the spiritual principle of integrity. And first off, seriously, congratulations. If you made it through Step 4, you didn't just dip your toe. You went all the way in. That takes honesty, courage, and a willingness a lot of people never reach. Step 5 is where we take everything we uncovered in Step 4 and we bring it into the light. Step 5 says, admit it to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. The spiritual principle behind Step 5 is integrity. This is where we stop hiding, where the secrets lose all their power. So let's see what Narcotics Anonymous says about Step 5. In the chapter How It Works, on page 31, Step 5, the fifth step is the key to freedom. It allows us to live clean in the present. Sharing the exact nature of our wrongs sets us free to live. After taking a thorough fourth step, we deal with the contents of our inventory. We are told that if we keep these defects inside us, they will lead us back to using. Holding on to our past would eventually sicken us and keep us from taking part in our new way of life. If we are not honest when we take the fifth step, we will have the same negative results that dishonesty brought us in the past. Step 5 suggests that we admit to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. We looked at our wrongs, examined our behavior patterns, and started to see the deeper aspects of our disease. Now we sit with another person and share our inventory out loud. Don't be naive. Not everybody that's in the rooms has got good recovery. That is a real fear that people have, and it's not necessarily an unfounded fear. Find somebody that is not going to use it against you, not somebody that can't, somebody that won't. If they're going to gossip with you, they're going to gossip about you. Our higher power will be with us during our fifth step. We will receive help and be free to face ourselves and another human being. It seemed unnecessary to admit the exact nature of our wrongs to our higher power. God already knows that stuff, we rationalized. Although he already knows, the admission must come from our lips to be truly effective. We're not admitting it to God to inform God. We're admitting it to involve God. Step 5 is not simply a reading of Step 4. For years, we avoided seeing ourselves as we really were. We were ashamed of ourselves and felt isolated from the rest of the world. Now that we have the shameful part of our past trapped, we can sweep it out of our lives if we face it and admit it. It would be tragic to write it all down and then shove it in a drawer. These defects grow in the dark and die in the light of exposure. Before coming to Narcotics Anonymous, we felt that no one could understand the things that we had done. We feared that if we ever revealed ourselves as we were, we would surely be rejected. Most addicts are uncomfortable about this. We recognize that we have been unrealistic in feeling this way. Our fellow members do understand us. We must carefully choose the person who is to hear our fifth step. We must make sure that they know what we are doing and why we are doing it. Although there is no hard rule about the person of our choice, it is important that we trust the person. I have said it before, if you can't trust your sponsor with your fifth step, you should find a new sponsor. And any sponsors out there that want to disagree with me, hey, drop me a comment. Only complete confidence in the person's integrity and discretion can make us willing to be thorough in this step. Some of us take our fifth step with a total stranger, although some of us feel more comfortable choosing a member of Narcotics Anonymous. We know that another addict would be less likely to judge us with malice or misunderstanding. So don't pick your best friend. Don't pick your mom. Don't pick your spouse. Don't pick one of your kids. Once we make a choice and are actually alone with that person, we proceed with their encouragement. We want to be definite, honest, and thorough, realizing that this is a life and death matter. Some of us tried to hide part of our past in an attempt to find an easier way of dealing with our inner feelings. We may think that we have done enough by writing about our past. We cannot afford this mistake. This step will expose our motives and our actions. We cannot expect these things to reveal themselves. Our embarrassment is eventually overcome and we can avoid future guilt. We do not procrastinate. We must be exact. We want to tell the simple truth, cut and dried, and quickly as possible. There is always a danger that we will exaggerate our wrongs. It is equally dangerous to minimize or rationalize our part in past situations. After all, we still want to sound good. Addicts tend to live secret lives. For many years, we covered low self-esteem by hiding behind phony images that we hoped would fool people. Unfortunately, we fooled ourselves more than anyone. Although we often appeared attractive and confident on the outside, we were really hiding a shaky, insecure person on the inside. The masks have to go. We share our inventory as it is written, skipping nothing. We continue to approach this step with honesty and thoroughness until we finish. It is a great relief to get rid of all our secrets and to share the burden of our past. Usually, we share this step. The listener will share some of his or her story too. We find that we are not unique. We see by the acceptance of our confidant that we can be accepted just the way we are. We may never be able to remember all of our past mistakes. We do, however, give it our best and most complete effort. We begin to experience real personal feelings of a spiritual nature. Where we once had spiritual theories, we now begin to awaken to spiritual reality. This initial examination of ourselves usually reveals some behavior patterns that we don't particularly like. However, facing these patterns and bringing them out in the open makes it possible for us to deal with them constructively. We cannot make these changes alone. We will need the help of God as we understand Him and the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. All right, let's talk about that. Step 5 is uncomfortable. There's no way around that. You're telling another human being the truth about things you've probably never said out loud before. But what stays in the dark keeps you sick. For me personally, step 5 is where I really started to feel relief. By the time I got to step 5, my sponsor knew everything about me anyway. She was very helpful with me going through step 4. She did not hand it to me and say, okay, do it, come back, and then make me do it 4 more times. The things I thought made me unlovable didn't. The things that I thought were unforgivable weren't. Now, I'm not going to tell you what they are because you're not my sponsor. Now let's look at it works how and why and break that down. We find step 5 on page 49. Now we have completed our written inventory. It is essential to share it promptly. My sponsor gave me the option. She said, you can either do it at once or right away. So we did it right away. The sooner we work our 5th step, the stronger the foundation of our recovery will be. We built the foundation on spiritual principles such as surrender, honesty, trust, faith, willingness, and courage. With each step forward in our recovery, we strengthen our commitment to these principles. We reaffirm our commitment to recovery by immediately working step 5. Despite our desire to recover, we may find that we're feeling frightened at this point. This fear is only natural. After all, we're about to confront the exact nature of our wrongs, candidly admitting our secrets to God, to ourselves, and to another human being. If we allow our feelings of shame and our fears of change and rejection to stop our progress, our problems will only be compounded. If we stop moving forward in our recovery, making every possible effort to recover, we will have given in to the demon of addiction. Now, the book says disease, but you know me. It's a demon disguised as a disease that takes away your power of choice. And if you give in to that demon, it never gets easier, only gets harder. We must overcome our fear and work the 5th step if we are to make any significant changes in the way we live. We gather our courage and go on. We may call our sponsor for reassurance. Usually a reminder that we don't have to face our feelings alone makes all the difference in easing our fears. Working this step with the support of our sponsor and a loving God is a way of putting into practice our decision to allow God to care for our wills and our lives. Our will is how we think, our lives is how we act. That decision, like most decisions we make, must be followed with action. Following our 3rd step decision with the action of the 4th and 5th steps will lead to a closer relationship with our higher power. Our understanding of the spiritual principles we have practiced in the first 4 steps will be enhanced by working the 5th step. We experience honesty by making an admission just like we did in step 1, but we experience it on a deeper level. The admission we are about to make to ourselves in step 5 is especially important. Not only do we open up and tell the truth about ourselves, we also hear the admission from our own lips, breaking the patterns of denial that have plagued us for so long. We find new levels of honesty, especially self-honesty, when we squarely face the results of our addiction and see the reality in our lives. The risk we take in this step increase our trust in God and nourish the faith and hope we experience in step 2. We take our willingness a step further, thereby renewing the decision that we made in step 3. We draw on the courage we acquired in step 4 and find that we are far more brave than we ever dreamed possible. This bravery is demonstrated not by our lack of fear, but by the action we take in spite of fear. We set a time to share our inventory. Then we show up and share at the scheduled time. Another action which requires courage is our admission to ourselves. We need to focus particular attention to this aspect of the 5th step. If we don't, we may find the benefits we derive from this step are not as meaningful as they could have been. As our basic text states, step 5 is not simply a reading of step 4. We want to make sure we are acknowledging and accepting the exact nature of our wrongs. We can even formalize this admission to ourselves if we think it will help. However, the manner in which we make this admission to ourselves is not as important as the action itself. We gain a new understanding of the principle of humility as we work this step. We've most likely been under the impression that we were somehow bigger or more visible than other people. Through working the 5th step, we find that few of our actions deserve exaggerated attention. Through our self-disclosure, we feel connected with humanity, perhaps for the first time in our lives. As we share our most personal feelings and our most carefully guarded secrets, we may experience anguish. However, many of us have looked up and seen unconditional love in the eyes of the person hearing our 5th step. The feelings of acceptance and belonging we experienced at that moment helped us to feel a part of the program. I can't tell you how many 5th steps I've heard, and I sat throughout going, yeah, me too. Let me tell you mine. We're like in this weird twisted club, and to be able to confess without judgment, nobody understands like another addict understands. You might feel embarrassed. It might be uncomfortable, but when you look up and you see that person just loving you anyway and telling you, oh yeah, sounds about right. Not, oh, well, that's okay. It's not okay that you did that, whatever. But you know what? It is okay. I understand and I love you anyway. That's the message that you get from your higher power, from your sponsor, from the fellowship. And honestly, if you're not getting that message, pick another meeting. The knowledge that we are about to face feelings we have long avoided may cause a rise in our anxiety level. But we go on, encouraged by our sponsor to trust the God of our understanding. The first thing we must realize is that the 5th step is not a quick fix for a painful situation. If we work this step expecting our feelings to just go away, we are expecting the steps to numb us the way the drugs did. That is an unrealistic expectation, which for many of us is a character defect we find that we have through working the 4th step. We review our first 4 steps and see that their purpose is to awaken our spirits, not deaden our feelings. It's one of those cliches I love. You gotta feel your feels. I would rather feel them than numb them out. I didn't used to know that, but I sure know it now. We will need support and understanding to cope with our feelings. If we choose an understanding individual to make our admissions to, we will have all the support we need. Although there is no requirement that the listener must be our sponsor, most of us choose to share our inventory with him or her. By doing so, we are most likely to benefit from the full range of experience another recovering addict has to share. After all, who can better understand what we are attempting than those who have done it for themselves? Addicts more experienced in recovery than we are will already have dealt with the matters we are just beginning to face. Such people can share with us their experience and the solutions they have found through working this step. The bond we share with our sponsor will strengthen our connection with the program and increase our sense of belonging. The person who listens to our 5th step should be someone who understands the process of recovery we are involved in and someone who is willing to help us through it. We have found that an ideal listener will have enough compassion to honor our feelings, enough integrity to respect our confidences, and enough insight to help us keep the exact nature of our wrongs within our field of vision. Knowing that we are sharing our inventory, she or he will help us to avoid getting sidetracked by blaming others for the things we've written about in our 4-step. That's that magic column. Doesn't matter what they did. You can't do anything about what they did. You can't hope for closure. You can't go back and make a better past. You can't go back and change what you said and did. But for this to work for you, blaming other people, exaggerating, minimizing, does nothing for you. Honest, fearless, thorough. It's the only way I know how to do it. Although we know we are going to derive meaningful benefits from working this step, we may still need to take a moment to reaffirm our surrender in the decision we made in the 3rd step. We can ask a power greater than ourselves for the honesty, courage, and willingness to work this step. Pray to your higher power. Ask him, hey, please give me the strength and the willingness and the courage I need to do this fearlessly and thoroughly. Please be here with me, listen to what I have to say, and help guide me and my sponsor in getting through this in the proper way so that I see what I need to see. Amen. Or whatever it is that you say. The prayer can be anything that reaffirms our commitment to recovery. Praying with the person hearing our 5th step can be a profoundly intimate experience. Not only do we pray to ask for strength and courage, many of us also ask our higher power to listen as we make our admission. Why is it so important that we also make our admission to God? Because this is a spiritual program, and our whole purpose is to awaken spiritually. Our willingness to approach our higher power openly with our past and who we are is central to our recovery. In the past, some of us felt that we weren't worthy of a relationship with God. Our secrets blocked our ability to feel any acceptance or love from that power. When we reveal something about ourselves, we draw closer to the higher power and experience the unconditional love and acceptance which springs from that power. The feeling that the God of our understanding accepts us, no matter what we've done, enhances our acceptance of ourselves. The positive relationship we are building with a higher power carries over into our relationships with others as well. We may be surprised by the intensity of the partnership we are developing with our sponsor as we share our inventory. If we've never really been listened to before, we may be startled to discover that we are being asked questions about some fine point of our personal inventory and that our sponsor is jotting down notes while we share. Our self-esteem increases as we realize that what we have to share is worth such close attention. We may see deep compassion in our listeners' eyes, showing us that our pain is understood. That compassion is one more assurance of the presence of a power greater than ourselves. You are not doing this alone. That was maybe one of the greatest things for me, that it didn't matter who had let me down before. It didn't matter if nobody was there for me when I needed somebody to be there for me, because in this moment, when I was telling it, and I mean telling it, I felt nothing but love coming from my sponsor and my higher power. When I was done with this, I knew that my higher power was real and was there for me. Oh, I get teary-eyed thinking about it. Looking at and sharing the exact nature of our wrongs is not likely to be a comfortable activity. We have looked back and seen how repeating the same patterns over and over again have kept us stuck in the same place. And we haven't seen the surface behavior. We've seen the defects of character that have been behind our behavior all along. We start to realize that there is a difference between our actions and the exact nature of our wrongs. Okay, you stole 20 bucks. Thief, liar, what's the real problem? For instance, we may see example after example of situations where we lied in a vain attempt to make everyone like us. But those examples aren't the nature of our wrongs. The nature of our wrongs is the dishonesty and manipulation we were demonstrating each time we lied. If we look beyond the dishonesty and manipulation, we'll most likely find that we were afraid no one would like us if we told the truth. You see how fear is the real underlying thing there? We manipulate, we are dishonest because we're scared of something. Scared we're not going to get something we want. Scared we're going to lose something we have. As we share our inventory, our sponsor will sometimes share some of his or her own experience with us. Our sponsor may cry with us or smile in recognition at some of the struggles we are now sharing. We may laugh together as we share some of the more comical aspects of our addiction and the ridiculous lies we told ourselves so that we can continue to live as we were living. As we see how similar our feelings are to our sponsor's feelings, we realize that there are other people like us. We're human beings, nothing more, nothing less. Our self-obsession blinded us to this, making us feel unique. Suddenly, we understood that other people too have painful problems and that ours are no more significant than anyone else's. Healing can take place when we see a glimpse of ourselves in the eyes of another. We find humility in that moment and a reason to hope that the serenity and peace we have been striving for are within our reach at last. Our feelings of alienation fade as we experience an emotional connection with another human being. We are allowing someone entry to those places we've never before opened to another person. This may be the first time we've ever trusted another person enough to tell him or her about ourselves and allow that person to get to know us. We may be surprised at the closeness that develops between us and our sponsor. We're developing a give and take relationship based on equality and mutual respect, the kind that can last for a lifetime. After working our fifth step, we may feel a little raw or emotionally vulnerable. We've taken a major step in the healing process of recovery. This process could be thought of as surgery of the spirit. We've opened up old wounds. We've exposed our most carefully constructed lies for the deceptions they were, and we've told ourselves some painful truths. We've dropped our mask in the presence of another person. At this point, we may experience a dangerous urge to run from our new awareness and return to the familiar misery of the past. We may feel tempted to avoid our sponsor because he or she knows all about us now. It is very important that we resist such impulses. We must talk with other recovering addicts about our fears and feelings so we can hear the experience they have to share. See that other people have gone through the same thing. Your sponsor felt that with their sponsor. Go to a meeting, talk to some people, ask them, hey, how did you feel after you did your fifth step? I felt great, but geez, I wanted to go run and hide. It's very common. And ask 100 addicts, you're going to get the same answer 98 times. We'll find that what we're going through is not unique and feel relieved when others tell us they went through the very same struggles after they worked the fifth step. I have a little note here. It says, don't give in to the demon. We talk about spiritual warfare. Okay, you have opened yourself up. You have asked God to come in. You have bared your soul and you are ready to move on to the next. And here comes the demon talking shit. Oh, everybody knows. Don't give in. Call your sponsor. Get to a meeting, talk to other addicts, get into the literature, find out, oh, hey, wait, this is normal. This is everybody. Okay, all right. And tell the demon to suck it. But I digress. Our awareness of our patterns of relating with others and the risk we have just taken in admitting them to another bring about a momentous breakthrough in our relationships. Not only do we form a close bond with our sponsor, but the risk we take in trusting this person will help us develop close relationships with others as well. We've risked trusting one person with our secrets and our feelings, and we haven't been rejected. We begin to have the freedom to trust others. Not only do we find that others are trustworthy and deserve our friendship, we find that we are also trustworthy and deserving. Who'd have thunk it? We may have thought we were incapable of loving or being loved or ever having friends. We discover that these beliefs were unfounded. We learn from the example of our sponsor how to be a more caring friend. Our relationships begin to change after this step, including the one we have with the God of our understanding. Throughout the process of the fifth step, we turned to that power when we were fearful, and we received the courage we needed to complete the step. Our belief and our faith grew as a result. Because of this, we're willing to put more of ourselves into building a relationship with God. Just like any other relationship, the one we develop with our higher power calls for openness and trust on our part. When we share our most personal thoughts and feelings with our higher power, letting down our walls and admitting we are less than perfect, intimacy develops. us. We develop a certainty that our higher power is always with us and that we are being cared for. The process we have undertaken so far has made us aware of the exact nature of our wrongs. The exact nature of those wrongs is our character defects. We now know that the patterns of our lives were rooted in dishonesty, fear, selfishness, and many other defects of character. We've seen the whole spectrum of our defects and are ready for something new. With this readiness, we move on to step 6. And that, of course, will be the next video. So it's very important that you know that step 5 isn't about confessing to be judged. It's about being honest so you can be free. Addiction thrives in isolation. Recovery happens in connection. When you sit down with another person and tell the truth fully, you break that isolation. You break the chains that demon's holding you with. If you're thinking about skipping this step or watering it down, don't. Half measures don't work here. You don't get freedom by telling 80% of the truth. You get freedom by telling the truth, period. Step 5 is about getting honest, letting go of the shame, building integrity, and finally realizing you're not alone. Say it with me. I am not alone. The next video, we're going to get into step 6, where we start becoming willing to let go of the defects we just admitted. So if this helped you, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs it. Check out the website at starvethedemon.com for interviews, resources, merchandise, and you can also support the channel, buy me a coffee. It helps keep this message going. And like I always say, love everybody. Let God sort them out and keep coming back. I'm going to keep coming back. Bye.